Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. AMC stock is up 1.22% at the time of recording this video, up about 5 cents or so, trading at $4.54 per share, almost $1 off of your all-time low of $3.58 per share. Now, I will give you an overview of what the situation looks like with AMC, any and all news that is coming out today, and what the data looks like. Now, we're also going to talk about the markets because, it's seeing a little bit of a flip-flop today. And we will discuss if this can last. The short answer is probably, but it does make other data reports like PCE next week a little bit more important, considering yesterday's CPI report came in hotter than expected. Now, we are going to have some earnings today as well. I want to go over some of my opinions on those earnings and what you need to know, broadly speaking. So hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. So AMC stock continuing its slow kind of ascent here. And let's be honest. I mean, AMC is only going to go so far until we get some news from Adam Aron that we're not going to see dilution. Okay, that's the big thing that we're waiting for. And I think ultimately it's really the only card they can pull at this point, especially if the box office is supposed to be bad in 2024. Then that's all that they can do. I mean, that's Adam Aron's number one job right now, is to get AMC stock higher. He was showing a lot of distaste with where AMC was in the $4 range before, and then you dipped to $3.50 or so. Now you're back to that range where, Adam Aron was making Twitter posts talking about AMC stock and how destroyed it is. So I can almost guarantee you he's not satisfied with a dollar bounce in the stock. And that's because on a mathematics basis, I mean, raising capital at these prices basically does nothing for AMC. AMC needs AMC stock to be higher to raise capital. That's the simple fact of the matter. If it isn't, then that's a big problem. Now, on that note, I don't know exactly when that will happen, but I am expecting it'll happen soon. If anything, it could be on the earnings call and the earnings report that does come out. Now, another big story of the day today, SMCI receiving an upgrade, and the stock's up 9%. Like insane. This stock has went from $470 per share to $900 at one point today in the last 13 trading days. This stock is in a full-blown short squeeze, and it doesn't look like that's going to end good. Okay, so be a little bit careful if you guys are bullish on this name in particular. It's probably not going to end too good. But Nvidia even is up 1% today. So really, AI names again carrying the baton, driving markets higher. Now, if we take a look at 10-year Treasury yields, 10-year Treasury yields are down about 5 basis points at 4.26%. So that's great. That's also allowing a little bit of leeway for your small cap stocks. Now, SMCI is the number one stock in the Russell 2000. It's the largest weighting, the largest market cap. It's probably going to get moved out of the Russell 2000 here pretty soon. So, be on the lookout for that, and that might be negative for the broader index. But the Russell 2000 today is massively outperforming, up 1.5%. S&P up a third of 1%, 0.33%. The NASDAQ up 0.46%, and the Dow is barely up. It's up 0.05%. So definitely seeing that big outperformance today in the Russell 2000. The VIX is down 6.25%. At one point yesterday, the VIX was up 29%. And that was one of the most violent VIX spikes you had seen in a very long time. Then the markets kind of rallied towards the end of the day. Overall, I don't think downside is potentially done in our markets. I do think Nvidia earnings will hold the key. Now, Nvidia tends to sell off pretty aggressively after earnings, basically every single time. The last 3 earnings, Nvidia has rallied into earnings. The first one where they really shocked everyone, Nvidia gapped up on earnings, right? That did indeed happen. And then the stock ends up selling off following earnings. The last 3 earnings now. Now, Nvidia has rallied from, $500 or so to $700 in a very short amount of time. Hundreds of billions of dollars of market cap value has been added. Does that mean Nvidia sells off more this time? Potentially, because I would argue expectations are higher now. UBS just came out with a crazy note that they think Nvidia is going to beat the data center revenue by about $3 billion. Wall Street average analysts have it at about $16 billion for this quarter. UBS thinks they're going to come in about $19 billion of data center revenue alone. Keep in mind, data center is what was weak for AMD and Intel, right? That's what caused Intel to have its worst day in like 2 years when they reported earnings. So expecting a bright spot with data center, UBS also believes that Nvidia is going to beat top line revenue by about $3 billion as well, $2 to $3 billion. Wall Street has them pegged at $20.2 billion, and it's just getting to the point of the law of large numbers, right? When Nvidia kind of shocked the world, they did $7.19 billion in revenue. The next quarter, they did $13.5 billion. Last quarter, they did $18.12 billion, and now they're expected to do $20.2 billion. You're getting to the law of large numbers, right? So it's going to be very hard for Nvidia to beat the growth rates we have seen quarter over quarter in these other quarters. I mean, going from $7 billion to $13 billion, that's almost 100% growth. Growing from $13 billion to, $18 billion is what, like 50-60% growth. And then going from 18 to 20% or 20 billion is like what, 20% growth. Now it's going to be harder to grow at 20% because you're just dealing with large numbers. That is the law of large numbers, and it makes it harder to kind of impress the markets, to impress investors and give you that wow factor. So next week, Nvidia will report earnings on Wednesday. That is going to be a huge catalyst. I firmly expect Nvidia will sell off. Now, to what degree in which do they sell off? Who knows, right? They're going to have good earnings. They're probably going to have really good guidance, but I think the stock's already expecting that. So, the only way Nvidia really sells off like 10% following earnings the day after, like you see with some stocks, is if they, really do bad somewhere. If somewhere makes investors kind of doubt the growth story or doubt how long we can sustain at these numbers, or even if the numbers are going to go higher itself, that is, that's a big question. How big are you going to be able to grow Nvidia in the near term? Or have we gotten too far over our skis? We'll definitely have to wait and see on that. But nonetheless, let's get into a little bit more on AMC stock. I don't see any company specific news that is coming out today. But if we take a look here at the Ortex data, 12.16% short interest to free float, down a little bit from 12.47% we seen yesterday, but still very good numbers overall. It's higher than the 7% we have been in for a while there. You do have $137 million worth of short positions, days to cover 1.76, 30.47 million shares that are currently sold short, shares out on loan 32.27 million, cost to borrow 1.04%, utilization of 48.23%, and a short score of 63.66 out of 100. Cost to borrow max about 1.47%. Now, if we take a look at the option activity here on the day today, to the call side, you do have volume of 86%, volume to the put side of 13.85%, call open interest of 69.75%, and put open interest of 30.25%. So some decent numbers across the board. Really can't complain all too much with the numbers. You have one order totaling $69,000 with a positive order value of 100% from hedge funds and institutions. This trade is a February 16th, so expiring this Friday. 450 call and they paid $23 a piece for this. So this implies a break even of about 473. That would be the implied break even for AMC stock by the end of this week, which would be, quite a decent little rally over the next couple of days. So implying maybe we do see a rally there. Now, if we take a look at the sentiment barometers from StockTwits, we are at 47, categorized as neutral. Yesterday, we were bullish on sentiment at 61, so down a little bit today. Message volume is a little bit higher than yesterday. Yesterday was at 52. Today is at 53, so that looks pretty good. The participation ratio has also been increasing lately as AMC stock has been able to kind of go higher, stay higher, and continue on a multi-day kind of uptrend. You have seen more people talking about AMC. Participation ratio at 54 today. That's almost on the high side. So that's something that is very different now. Different AMC now a little bit compared to what we have seen recently. Now, Stock O tracker data. You do have about 30,000 calls currently in the money, 93,000 calls out the money. In the money puts at 15,000, out the money puts at about 38,000. So decent amount of option activity on both sides here. If you do see a big move, it could be exacerbated by, the out the money options to both sides here. And I'm sure there's still some of these in the money calls as well that are probably being hedged for. As we are currently speaking, I mean, that's about 3 million shares market makers have to go out and buy because that is their back end obligation of 30,000 calls in the money. So there is that. We didn't really get much today as far as data. We had some final PPI numbers that came out today. Nothing that, is spooking the markets or is really just good news overall. It's kind of a mediocre day as far as that. We did get Fed goals beat that came out and really defended the progress we've seen on inflation. I think that was probably the biggest bullish catalyst that we have gotten today. Fed Goolsbee said, you want to be a little bit careful saying that, we're reversing on the inflation progress. He was saying a lot of people like to point out, labor cost, wages going up 4% or so. He made a very good point that I think the markets liked, that typically prices go up and then wages go up, not wages go up and then prices go up. So the wage increases we're seeing now are because of the price increases companies did in 2022 and 2023. So it's not necessarily saying that wages are going to continue to grow and prices are going to continue to grow alongside it. There's really a catch-up period that we are in right now where companies are forced to pay more because they already raised prices. Personally, I think companies can't afford to raise prices anymore, right? You are seeing a great deal of shrinkflation out there. Toilet paper rolls are getting smaller and, boxes of cereal are getting smaller, things of that nature. And that is helping companies' margins. But nonetheless, I don't think companies can actually raise prices anymore. I think there is a great deal of backlash on that. At least just that's my personal opinion. But that is pretty much everything you need to know. Again, no company specific news for AMC today. We are going to have some earnings coming out a little bit later today. Today and after hours, Twilio, Oxy, Cisco, Albemarle, Energy Transfer, AppLovin, Fastly, HubSpot, Upwork, and QuantumScape that will be reporting earnings. Tomorrow morning, Crocs, John Deere, EPAM, Yeti, Penn National Gaming, Oatly, Wendy's, InterDigital, and then Thursday and after hours, DraftKings, Coinbase, Roku, The Trade Desk, Applied Materials, DoorDash, Toast, Opendoor, and some other names as well. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.